guys, thanks for joining me on another episode of The Comment Section. I'm Reagan Conrad, and today it is a good day to be a woman. With the swipe of a pen, it is official. There will be no more men competing in women's sports. On National Girls and Women's Sports Day, Trump signed an executive order officially declaring that women's sports will be protected under Title IX properly. And this has been a long time in the works. But here's the video of Trump actually signing the order.
What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is, this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
So cute. One comment said, and he didn't sniff any of them. The golden age of America, indeed. Someone else said, it's sad that this even needed to happen. Shows how big this country has declined. Sad, but true, but we are redeeming ourselves right now, which is fantastic. I still remember interning at a news station back in 2019 and covering a story about a high school boy being in the girls' bathroom. Back then, it was this big deal over the locker room debate, but it has since got nationwide attention once it evolved into one of those male athletes actually beating women on a national level. We all know the photo, and we simply would not be here without Riley Gaines. Her story, in multiple respects, was the pinnacle of everything fundamentally wrong with this phenomenon of men in women's spaces. In case some of you have never heard her story, here's a quick refresher because, again, I think it's so powerful for everyone to hear, especially now.
The swimming locker room, it's not necessarily a place of modesty. You've grown up swimming, especially when you're at the elite level that we were. You put these suits on that are like skin tight. It takes like 15 minutes to put these suits on. So it's a process to which, of course, you have to be undressed. But as a girl growing up in that environment, you become okay with being vulnerable in that situation because everyone there is in the same situation. And I was in the locker room, obviously putting my suit on, and all of a sudden it got dead silent. I turn around, this person's towering over every other person in the locker room, drops the clothes, full male, like a fully intact male with male genitalia. And almost subconsciously, you just cover. Like, it's just a subconscious inherent feeling when you see a male with male parts watching you undress.
It's the perfect example of how that inclusiveness plays out in the vulnerability of a locker room and in a competition at the highest level. The locker room story is like the worst part, I think. They can talk about whatever they want and being inclusive and all of that, and then you zoom into the actual locker room in which women are in there with a man, fully nude, and are just expected to act like that's totally fine. I mean, that's sickening to me. Thankfully, though, many other people agreed.
Surely the NCAA wouldn't let this person compete with us, but of course, that's not what we saw. And so that first day at our NCAA championships, we all sat on the sidelines as Leah Thomas became the fastest female in the country, winning a national title in the 500 freestyle, and beating out Olympians, American record holders, the fastest females of all time. And that next day was when Leah and I raced each other, and we swam the 200 freestyle, and crazily enough, we tied. So when we went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second, which is pretty rare. Yeah. And so upon tying, I go behind the awards podium where they give you these like dinky little trophies and they parade you out. But the NCAA official looks at me and says, great job, y'all tied. The trophy goes to Leah.
What?
We'll eventually mail you yours. And so I kind of look at him and I quickly question him and I'm like, okay, I understand there's one trophy. Don't account for ties. But what's your thought process on giving it to Leah? Why are you so adamant? And he said, well, for photo purposes, Leah has to have it.
Every time I hear her story, I just get reinvigorated with anger. I mean, it's maddening. You know what else is very maddening? Taxes. But unfortunately, we all have to pay them. You don't have to face the IRS, and you especially don't want to face them alone. So let me tell you why Tax Network USA can help you and why they're different from other tax resolution companies. First off, they've built this incredible relationship with the IRS. Even better, they have this preferred direct line to the IRS. Why does this matter? Because they know exactly what agents to work with, and more importantly, which ones to steer clear of. And here's what's really cool about them. They have these genius strategies to settle your tax problems quickly and in your favor. Whether you're looking at tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in tax debt, their attorneys and negotiators know how to handle it. In fact, they've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. So call and talk with one of their strategists. It's totally free. It's time to stop looking over your shoulder and finally put these IRS troubles behind you. So just call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Conrad. That's tnusa.com/Conrad. Someone said, what's crazy is that the media labels Leah Thomas as a hero. They won't cover her side of the story. So sad. Her meaning Riley's side. Someone else said, people don't understand until they hear someone's experience. When you hear a woman talk about that vulnerability in that moment, then finally people wake up a bit. These videos got millions of likes. Like everyone realized, especially because Riley's a great storyteller and she can make you feel something that it's like, oh yeah, this is so messed up. Someone else said, this needs to be all over the news, keep speaking out. And that was back in 2023. And indeed, Riley has continued to speak out. She truly started the movement among young women, giving them the courage to also speak up and speak out about the injustice of it all. Other female icons, from Bethany Hamilton to J.K. Rowling, fed fuel to the fire as this common sense movement to protect female athletes caught on. Just last week, actually, J.K. retweeted this video that has Riley in it. A nice full circle moment.
Riley Gaines and Sia Lee are in hot water over their transphobic comments, and I just gotta say, who cares if biological males play in women's sports? Just be inclusive.
Could not agree more. This is just a bunch of fear-mongering from right-wing bigots.
Female athletes just need to work harder.
Guess we'll see how Sia handles all that pressure tonight.
I don't know why I get chills. JK retweeted this 2 times, actually. The first time she was like, this is the only ad I'll ever retweet. And then she tweeted again and said, my husband Neil, marathon and endurance runner, just told me he's bought 4 t-shirts. In years to come, a great question to ask self-proclaimed liberal men will be, which side were you on, women's rights or men's demands? We did also just confirm that those girls in that ad were the female athletes that have been very vocal and outspoken about this whole issue. And again, were the girls facing that kind of backlash that they shine a spotlight on in that video. Someone else said, I really like that they show what real training is like. And that's not even half of it. Real women athletes work tremendously hard. I feel like that's what makes people get chills. It's like, we know as women or as athletes what goes into getting to any certain degree of success in the field. And then seeing women at the highest levels of it be cheated out of that hard work. Like, you can train as much as humanly possible, become the most badass athlete like Riley, and yet a dude is still gonna stomp her. Or she's gonna be so great that she still hangs just with him, but somehow he's still gonna win. Like that, And I hate that Riley and these girls had to go through it, but you almost couldn't have had this success without this story, and without someone being like, look at how crazy this is, and nobody can dispute that it's insane. And although millions of people around the world do agree and see how clear as day this whole situation is, some people are still outraged, like this person. This ad is an insult to trans people, like they shouldn't exist. Incorporating trans women into sport is a 21st century challenge. This isn't the way to go about it. First of all, no one's saying they shouldn't exist. That is not what this is saying. It's saying that we should protect women. And those things don't have to be mutually exclusive. What about the insult to women? It's like this person didn't even hear the insults being thrown at those women in the ad. Again, very real insults that these women faced every single day. They were the same insults hurled at any of these young girls who had been bold enough to simply say no to this. Someone else responded to that and said, no one said anything about them not existing. Why can't they have their own sports league? If you understand why a white person shouldn't paint their face black and apply for minority scholarships, then you should be able to understand why men should not just be able to put on a dress and join in something that women fought so hard for the right to do. A great point. The ad addresses competitive fairness, not slinging insults. Men can change their appearance to become female, to look feminine, but they cannot change their strength or build, which gives them an advantage. That is not now, nor will it ever be fair to these female athletes at trans sports. Unsurprisingly, the media has already started to portray this new executive order a certain way. On X, ESPN said, President Donald Trump will sign an executive order Wednesday designated to prevent people who were biologically assigned male at birth from participating in women's or girls' sporting events. Yes, men. So simple. The whole issue is everything's so simple. That was the longest way to say that ever. Someone said, WTF is ESPN talking about? Did they not get the message that we're not living in a fantasy land anymore? You're not assigned anything, as if doctors all around the world have quotas to meet with genders in the country. Whoever came up with assigned at birth is like I would love to meet that person and chat with them. Men. I believe the word you're looking for is men. It's really funny, again, coming from ESPN, who is this iconic male media platform, to just be not that at all anymore. We already know they're woke, but they're very woke. Clearly still a big ESPN fan, this person said, head of NCAA testified to Congress that this applies to less than 10 people in all of college sports, and it's non-existent in pro sports. So it affects basically nobody or nothing that actually matters. And I read that and I immediately already thought about the Olympics. It's slowly becoming something. That's the whole problem. We're not saying that everywhere all the time this is happening, especially at a pro level, but it's going that way. Aman Khalif, anyone? We're already seeing it happen on every level. But the last line here about, so it affects basically nobody or nothing that actually matters. Someone quickly responded to that comment and said, tell these young women that. Even if it is just one young girl, which it's not, it's way more than that, but would that not still be worth it? Or a collegiate athlete who has spent her time and effort for nearly 2 decades of her life, sacrificing so much to be at that level, and yet a male beats her out in the moment she's worked her entire life to get to. Of course, it's worth it. We talk all the time about equity and justice. This is an example of where those principles are needed and when it actually counts. I saw other criticisms online of people saying things like, y'all are just so obsessed with this, like this is all you care about. And hyper-focusing on one issue like this is exactly what Riley has strategically done for years at this point. And look where it ended up. In the same way that her athletic hyperfixation on swimming got her to the national championships, her focused prioritization of protecting young women just landed her in the nation's capital. And with a hard-fought fight, that swipe of a pen is arguably the movement's biggest win to date. Well done, ladies. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. If you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video if you enjoyed it. And last but not least, if you want more content, you can follow me on X and Instagram. Thanks so much and have a great day.